ஹலோ கேட்குதா? ரைட், ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணவா? ஸோ வெல்கம் டு PSIR. For online students, the number is 733886355. It is 733886355. So can we proceed further? So we are in the middle of Marxism. So we will continue with Marxism where we left in the last class. Hope all of you would have read Marxism from the PSIR compiled notes. Anyone of you tried reading Marxism? Read a little bit? No? Okay. See, it becomes always easier when you read and come. It is okay. So already we have completed the basic tenets of Marxism, the core. We have read it. But since in our syllabus, we also have political thought of Marx, Karl Marx. So see, Marx has written extensively on different issues. So they might ask from any topic of what Marx have discussed. All are extremely closely interrelated. So you need not worry about it. It's very easy. So we will go through those things also. So the basic tenets of Marxism is already done. Hope all of you remember every bit of this. Okay, so this I started it, but since I thought few people would not be understanding that in that moment, so I stopped it a little bit. So we will continue this. What is this base and superstructure? Please. In a typical Marxist thought, many times we have discussed this. So all the ideas is in the plane of superstructure. Any kind of ideas that's in the plane of the superstructure. What the ideas depends? The ideas depends on the material structure of the society. Okay, you should always remember this, right? See, for Marx, everything is based on the material structure of the society. We will be seeing about contradictions, and Marx also believes anything. For example, I'll put you this simple way. What is the Marxist theory of population? If someone asks you what is theory of population, many people would say, okay, if this happens, the people will automatically reproduce a lot. If this happens, the reproduction of the people will be lesser. That is how general theory of population would go. But again, in that sense also, Marx was different. Marx believed population itself depended upon the material structure of the society. For him, everything depended upon the material structure of the society, the mode of production. You understand? Everything. Always remember this. Once you remember this, any question that comes on Marxism, you can easily answer it. Okay. So this base and superstructure, Marx believed. What is the base? You read this quote later, no time. What is the base? The base is the mode of production, material structure of the society. That is what base is all about. Right. Marx asserts that the social reality, that is the materialistic life of a man rooted in a historical period, conditions his thought process or consciousness in general. Okay, that is how your consciousness is being shaped. Okay, for example, where you live, who is your father, already discussed this, who is your mother, which strata of the society you are coming from. We are coming from a poor class, we are a rich class. Okay, you are coming from the son of a laborer or son of a capitalist. Where you actually belong, that conditions your thought process in general. Okay, it's a typical Marxist thought. According to Karl Marx, ideas and categories are no more eternal than the relations which they express. They are historical and transitory products. Okay. any idea in a Marxist thought is a historical product. It's a historical product. Okay. Karl Marx wrote his theory on 1850. Okay. Psir wrote his theory somewhere around 1930, 1940. That's it. So those ideas in Marxist thought cannot be applied to different historical period. Okay. That is the reason Marx himself calls for revisionism. He says, even if you want to apply my idea to different historical period, it will not suit. It will not suit because the condition that historical period is different. So you have to change the idea a little bit so that it suits that particular historical period. Okay. So that is what Marx says. Ideas and categories are no more eternal. It is not an eternal thing. It is not true across historical period. Some philosophy that is born in 1900s, 1920, 1930, foolishly there will be some people who are applying that in the 2020, saying that, oh, Ambedkar said this in 1950. Okay, Gandhi said that in 1930. A typical Marxist will not do. For a typical Marxist, ideas and categories are no more eternal than the relations which they express. They are historical and transitory products. So every idea has its meaning only in that particular historical era. Okay, they are bound to change. Okay, he says political ideas is a part of superstructure which embodies in their class relations. Right. So what is the basic relation according to Karl Marx? Is the class relation. Okay, the relationship that you make with other human being to produce. Okay, if there is a domination in that relation, please understand very carefully, if there is a domination in that relation, if there is oppression in that relation, okay, then what kind of politics that we get? According to Marx, the class that controls the material structure of the society will invariably control all other parts of the superstructure. Understood? Understood. So class relation is the basic relation, and in the class relation you have a domination. You have one class oppressing another class. One class, you see there's a dominating class. So Marx says ideas are always superstructure, always in the superstructural plane. So all the ideas of the society about anything, about marriage, about politics, about society, about religion, any kind of idea you take it, any kind of idea, any idea that is in a particular society will be controlled by whom? The class that is controlling the material structure of the society. Okay, this is very, very simple analytical tool that Marx has given. So that is class relations determines the political relations in a society. According to Marx, determinate individuals who are productively active in a definite way enter into determinate social and political relations. Right. According to Marx, since the economic base is stratified to dominant and dependent class, the ideas of the dominant class are the ideas of the whole society. Okay. So this is where Antonio Gramsci will come and question it. All these things we will see. Already we saw it little bit in War of Position and War of Maneuvering when I talk about Mahatma Gandhi's strategy. Hope all of you will be remembering that. Right. We will go in that in detail when I come to Antonio Gramsci. That is also there in syllabus. Right. So the ideas of the dominant class or the ideas of the whole society. We ourselves don't know. We ourselves don't know. See, if you ask a common person why certain people are poor, what immediately that person would say? He would say like they are not working, they are very lazy, they don't do anything, so they are poor. I am working, I am not lazy, so I am rich. This idea that the poor people are poor because they are not working, they are lazy, is nothing but an idea of a capitalist class. Correct? But we do not know that is the idea of a capitalist class, but we have imbibed it. Slavishly, we have been saying this for years together, that people are poor because they are lazy. See, we have never lived a poor man's life. Even they work 15 hours, 16 hours a day. Even they work 15 hours, 16 hours a day. But they are poor. No one is bothering about why they are poor, but we slavishly say some one idea, one statement immediately. They don't work, they are lazy. They go to taskmark, they drink, they booze. So after 6 o'clock they booze and sleep. So then how they can become rich? That's the justification that we give. We do not know where the justification came from, but this justification we generally give. This is a kind of a, we don't understand, this is a kind of inverted consciousness that we have. Which inverted consciousness? The consciousness that has been given to us by the dominant class, Marx says. Which is the dominant class? The capitalist class. Without knowing, without our own consciousness or conscience, it has been controlling us. We have been using the words of the capitalist class without knowing what we are doing. I gave only one example. Okay, there are many such examples. Interrogate yourself whether Marx is right or wrong. There are many ideas, many beliefs that we will be having about our society, about our religion, and that kind of idea will always serve some upper class, an upper caste, or an elite. Always serve. We never question, why do I have this practice? We never question it. But this practice would have been formed by some person in power some years ago to serve his interest. Slavishly we have been following this for years together. Okay, slavishly we have been following this for years together without knowing one simple fact, what Marx says. The ideas of any society are the ideas of ruling class. Understood? The dominant class in the material structure of the society conditions your thought process in general without your own knowledge. We ourselves do not know that we have been controlled by the ideas of the capitalist class. You understood? The ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. That is, the class which is dominant material force in the society as at the same time it's the dominant intellectual force. Dominant intellectual force. The class which has the means of material production at its disposal has control at the same time over the means of mental production. What you write, what you speak, you think as if you write and you speak. But you have been dominated by the ideas of the capitalist class without your own knowledge. You do not know. The consciousness that you have is an inverted consciousness. We are dominated by the capitalist class. You do not know that your ideas is being dominated by the other class which actually dominating the material structure of the society. You do not know, says Marx. Okay. Understood? Understood. Simple to understand once you understand the concept very clearly. Neither legal relations nor forms of the state could be comprehended whether by themselves or on the basis of so-called general development of the human mind. Okay, so it is not because of the general development of the human mind, like how Hegel has said. Okay, so I thought of it, you thought of something else, we clashed, we created a new idea. It is not like that. It is not because of the general development of the human mind, but what it is based on. But on that contrary, they originate in the material conditions of life. Okay, so the changing material conditions gives changing ideas, basically. You have to understand that. Material conditions of life, the totality of which embraces within the term civil society that anatomy of the civil society, however, has to be sought in its political economy. Very, very, very important term, very, very important phrase of Marx. The anatomy of the civil society has to be sought in its political economy. So politics and economics are always intertwined in a society. Always intertwined in the society. If you want to understand the society, then what you have to first of all know? How the politics and the economics intertwined in a particular society. Marx says, the person with political power will invariably control the economic power, and the person with economic power will invariably control the political power. That is true even today, correct? I can give you examples of n number of politicians who would have come with a normal bag without any money to politics. Now they were earning 8,000 crores, 10,000 crores. Correct? The total asset would worth 10,000 crores. 50 years ago, they would have like a normal person like us. The person who is politically powerful is invariably economically powerful, and the person who is economically powerful is invariably politically powerful. Again, we can give n number of examples, whether it's Ambani or an Adani. Okay, they control the politics. Right. So the anatomy of the civil society has to be sought in its political economy. You have to see, if you want to anatomize a civil society to understand how the civil society works, then you have to understand how the politics and economics is intertwined in the society. First you have to understand that. Okay. Any village, if you are going to study a village, then you have to understand who are the people with political power in that particular village. Then who are the people with economic power in the particular village? What is the relation between their political power and the economic power? Okay. So Marx says, if you have to understand the society, if you want to understand a village in general, study a village. How do you study that village? All the ideas of the village, all the things that is there in the village is being controlled by the people who are there in the political power and the economic power. It is always intertwined. Politics and economics is always intertwined. Understand? So study who is economically powerful in the village. Then study who is politically powerful in the village. What is the interrelationship with them? You will understand the society. And you will understand about all the other practices that is there in the society. For example, a caste practice. Every village, for example, might have a typical kind of a caste practice. Okay, why are they having a typical kind of a caste practice? If you go and understand, you will feel, when you go and study it, you will understand that, okay, because of this economic power, certain people, because before some few generations would have put certain rules. That is how Marxist thinking will work. Understand? So the anatomy of civil society, however, has to be sought in its political economy. This is what the simple base and superstructure. I have pictographically represented it so that you will understand it much better. Base is the mode of production, and the superstructure, politics, ideas, institution, culture, religion, everything there is there in the superstructure base. Okay. This is the simple concept of base and superstructure of Karl Marx. Already we discussed it. All these things we already discussed it. Okay. Any doubt in the base and superstructure, please ask me. Online students also, if you have any doubt, immediately ask me. I will reply. Put PSI on the top and also your name. Right. Any doubt in this? Okay, we will proceed further. Marx on religion. Again, another famous phrase of Karl Marx. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, the soul of the soulless condition. Religion is the opium of the people. Okay. Marx said religion as the opium of the people. Okay. Why Marx said religion is the opium of the people? What is exactly Marx's opinion on religion? To Marx, religion is a product of the inverted consciousness at every stage of material production. It is of every stage of material production. Inverted consciousness. What is this inverted consciousness? As I already told you, the consciousness that you get because of the class relation that is existing. Okay, that is the inverted consciousness. That is not a true consciousness. This is the consciousness that you get because of the class relation that exists in the society. Inverted consciousness. Okay. So the inversion of the material conditions, the inversions of the material domination that is there. Okay, that is the reason it is called as inverted consciousness. Hence, the nature of religion, religious beliefs, control, etc., changed with changing material conditions. Very, very important. For Marx, religion also is dependent upon the material conditions. That is relatively true. A rich man in a city life, you don't generally go to worship a lot. You don't worship God a lot. Right? Probably in village, there are a lot of other practices is there. So we go to temples a lot, we worship, a lot of other practices, cultural practices there in villages. But seldom that we do those things in cities. Because here the material production is different, there the material production is different. So Marx was relatively right when he said the nature of religion, the religious beliefs, the nature of religion, the religious beliefs, control, etc., changed with changed material conditions. Religion, in essence, is an alienated form of human being. It is an alienated form of human being. It alienates man from his very human nature. I'll tell you what is alienation very soon. Right now, Marx believed science has essentially proved that God is a fiction. Okay. To Marx, atheism is not at all a question. He said, now the science has proved, because before the theories, Darwin's theory, everything has come. It was believed by almost all religions that God created the world. Okay. Now many theories disproved that the God cannot create the world, it's a process of evolution. We get all the other theories like a Big Bang theory, the Darwin's evolution theory, which says that the man came from the monkey. Okay. So now Marx believes that now a rational human being will understand that God do not exist. God do not exist. Okay. Right. So, but human beings are failing to understand this because a rational human being will understand that the God do not exist, but people who has been controlled by the dominant class in the inverted consciousness, because of the kind of inverted consciousness that controlled them, so they are failing. Okay. Man, because he does not understand that religion is part of the inverted consciousness, which in turn manipulated and controlled by the dominant class in a particular society, thinks, this is very, very important, thinks, now see, every problem he meets in the real world is given by God and seeks solution in the other world. Okay. So, just because he's been controlled by the inverted consciousness, he does not understand that God does not exist, and any problem, you fail in an exam, you meet with an accident, any problem that you feel in the real world, you think that this is because God is cursing you, you have some problem there, so you go to God and worship in the other world. Okay, all these things are happening because you do not exactly understand that you have been controlled by the domination of the capitalist class. They have some kind of vested interest in floating this religion. Is floating in religion. The people, whether it's a church or the upper caste or someone who is floating this religion, they have some kind of vested interest to float this religion. You do not understand the vested interest inside the church or any other authority or the temple authority or whatever it is. You do not understand the vested interest behind them if they are floating that religion. Without understanding it, you follow the religion because any problem you face in your life, you think it is God given. Okay, it's God given, right? So, instead of analyzing the reasons for the problems in this world, instead of doing it, why I am getting this problem, instead of analyzing that, which the man is very much capable, that is the assumption of Marx. Okay, and finding solutions here, man searches the solution in the other world. Hence, Marx says, religion is the heart of the heartless world, soul of the soulless situation, it is the opium of the people. Okay. How opium always keeps you in the state of happiness, but it is not a real happiness. Okay, when you take a drug, the happiness that you enjoy when you have the drug, when you are controlled by the period of drug, it is not a real happiness. Correct? Once the force of drug goes off, again you have to live in the real world. That is what Marx says. He compares opium with religion. Okay, 10 minutes you worship, you go to temple, you worship God and come back. Okay, you feel as if okay, now I am happy. That is not real happiness. The real happiness would come only if you search. Then you fight for it. Okay, fight for the domination, to negating the domination that is there in the material conditions. Creation of a communist society. Okay, right. So, Marx says, when the communist society is born and the society is free from contradictions, the man starts to attain the real consciousness and need for the religion vanishes. Okay. Again there is a technical term contradiction, again there is a technical term alienation. Don't worry, I will tell you in just a minute. Okay. As of now, any doubt in religion? Okay. So, according to Karl Marx, religion is something which is nothing but it is a product of the very inverted consciousness that is there. Okay, so it's a kind of opium which is trying to give solutions which is not there. The real solution could be attained only with the birth of communist society, which the people are not fighting for because they are happy with the opium. Okay, everyone is happy with opium. We do not fight for the real society. We only fight to get the opium, that is the religion, in a typical Marxist thought. I am sorry, 1 minute. Right, now we will go to the last important part of Marx. There are many things of Marx. See, I have skipped many things of Marx because no time. Already 4 hours has gone. So again, probably I might take 2 hours today. So again, I don't want to extend it a lot. So many things I have skipped it. I hope that doesn't come in exam. But anyway, most of the things are there in notes. So you can also read my notes, and otherwise also you can search a little bit and read. If you have any doubt, ask me, I'll let you know. Okay. So Marx is a very, very big philosopher. Marx and Ambedkar, I don't think so we can finish it so easily. They have written on almost all subjects. So completing the political thought of Karl Marx or Ambedkar is not that easy. Even a little bit of Gandhi. Gandhi is also extensive. Okay. Only important things we can take in class. Otherwise, I will tell you, you have to read it. Okay. Right. Marx's critique of capitalism. It includes alienation, contradictions of capitalism, commodification of labor, extraction of surplus value, polarization of working class. 5 points. Okay, so one by one we will see. One by one we will see. What are the Marx critique of capitalism? First is alienation. What is alienation? Simply put it. You created a product. You created a product. As a human being, you created a product. And you allow the product to alienate from you, and the very product that you have created now frightens you. As an alien. Okay. See, religion, human beings created religion. Capital, money, philosophy, state, everything is a human product. Human beings only. Now what they do? We worship religion. We kill people for religion. Correct? We'll kill people for money. We forget that we created the money. Now we are worshipping money. See, I have created a product, I am worshipping it. How stupid it is. It is my product which I have created, but without knowing or forgetting that I have created that, I am worshipping it. We created religion, the humankind, the mankind created religion, the mankind created money, the mankind created capital, the mankind created all these philosophies and all this state, but we worship. We even kill the human beings to realize it. Correct? That is what Marx says. Now, the very product that you have created confronts you as an alien. That is called as alienation. Okay. That confronts you as an alien. What is alien? Something that comes from the other world. It's a technical meaning of alien. Okay? It's a typical meaning of alien. So, the product that you have created now becomes alien as if it has come from the other world, and now it is dictating terms and you are worshipping it. So, ideally it should not be the case, correct? Because you created it. You cannot allow the product that you created to dominate you, to alienate you, to frighten you, and you need not worship it because you created it. But you forgot that. You forgot that you created it, and you allow that to become an alien, whether it's a religion or the capital or the money, you allow that to become that as alien, and you worship it now. You kill people, you do n number of things to satisfy religion now. So much of religious fanatics in this world today. Money, for money we do n number of things just to earn money. We even don't worry about brother, sister, no one we worry. Only money. Okay. If money is there, anything is right today. We forget that we created money. But now we are worshipping money, says Marx. This is what the concept of alienation. The product that man created is allowed to become an alien, and the alien confronts you and frightens you. Okay, this is called as alienation. Alienation there in that typical society, all societies, but the alienation is capitalism. It's little bit more tougher. You will see both. Okay. Alienation is the condition in which man becomes alien to his own self, human self, to himself, his own activities. Okay. The general human possibilities. That's again, this has been highly criticized by all the people that Marxism is a utopia. But Marx believed human being has n number of possibilities. Okay, he can love nature, his love for nature, he can love nature, but none of us doing that now. We don't have time to do it. Correct? Morning 6 o'clock, you get up, you do mechanically jobs. without knowing whether you are interested in it or not. Mechanically you do jobs, eat at time, sometimes you eat, sometimes you don't eat. Correct? To earn money, mechanically you do certain jobs. And night 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, after doing all the mechanical jobs, you sleep. Next morning the cycle repeats. Correct? Maybe by right now you would not have enjoyed this because you are in a reading phase now. Ask your father or mother, they will tell you. Okay, they can love their nature, but they have no time to do it. They have no time to do it. They have to go behind money, the alienated form. Okay, they have no other option in the capitalist society. They have to go behind the capital, the alienated form. Correct? There is no other option. But you have the very capability of loving the nature, which every human being can do. Your father can do, mother can do, even I can do. But we don't have time. We go behind making money. Ambition is another thing. I created my ambition. Finally, I worship the ambition. I forget that I can love nature, I can enjoy life. I forget father, mother, son, my own children, my siblings. I forget everything, and for my ambition, I forget everything and go behind that ambition. One final day, whether I reached my ambition or not, is a different story. But I have lost many people there. It's a Marxist thought. This is not I am telling you for you guys. You have to understand. Okay? So, that is how Marx believed. Every human being has the capability to love the nature, but we are not doing it. Another human possibility, his creative productive activity and his products which makes him to realize his ultimate potential. Every human being are creative. Okay? Most of us do not know that we are creative because we mechanically do certain things. That is what we have been taught. Correct? LKG, father and mother take you to school and put you in school, and they say, next 14 years till 12th standard you have to read. Mechanical life. Yeah. Do homework. So no creativity exists there. None of our education system is there which is designed to take out the creativity of the human being. Correct. Mechanically we do till 12th standard. Then again I thought, all of you would have thought after 12th standard, once you join some college or course, then you can live happily. But that is not the case. Again you have to mechanically read for another 3-4 years. Then you will think, okay, now I get some job so I can live life happily. Even that is not the case. Again you have to do, say, at the end of the day till death, you live only a mechanical life. Right? No creativity. But human possibility is there according to Marx. You can do it. But we are not doing it. Okay. So these things made Marx to think about a communist society. He said, finally in a communist society all these things will be realized. That is the reason Marx tries to bring a communist society. Why he says? Because his belief in these human possibilities. Right? His love over himself. That we do nowadays a lot. But we overdo it. Right? His love over species life. Love for other men. These are the high human possibilities that a man is capable of. But in a mechanical life that we are living, we don't have any time to do it. We alienate our own products and we worship it mechanically. Right. Okay. Marx posits that man through his sensuous activities creates a product and alienate it from himself and allow it to dominate him and then worships it. This act of man alienating his own product from himself is nothing but it has a reciprocal impact of man, making him alienated from his own self, that is human possibilities. Right. So, 3 activities, alienated forms. Right. So, in the spiritual activity, man created many alienated forms and he worships it. Religion, philosophy, arts, morality. Yeah. See, at the end of the day, why we created morality, why we created rules? To live a happy life, endless. But today we have been a rule monger. We endlessly follow rules because it is there. Okay. Economic activity, commodities, money, capital, all these things human being created, but we worship it now. Social activity, state, law, social institutions, all these things that we have created, but we worship it now. Okay. So these are the alienated forms. Now the most important thing, alienation in capitalism. Any doubt in this, guys? Till now, what is alienation? Okay, what is alienation? Any doubt in this? Okay, so alienation in capitalism, Marx believed alienation is there in all societies. In a slave society, in a feudal society, until a communal society is born, alienation is unavoidable. But alienation is capitalism more dangerous. More dangerous. Why? Answers Marx. The most brutal form of alienation occurs to man in his workplace in capitalism. Marx says that in the spiritual alienation, man is alienated only in the sphere of consciousness, in the inner life of man. But in the economic alienation, man alienated from both his real and inner life. From is missing here. From both his real and inner life. In capitalism, in the workplace, man is alienated from his labor. I already told you. For Marx, the most important activity is labor activity. Okay, that is how human being, the essence of human living is labor, work. Okay, Marx believed, I have already told you many times, that you can live without doing anything, but you cannot live without doing some work. Might be now, yes, your father and mother are doing that for you on your behalf. Once they die, then it's your job. Then you have to take care of yourself. If you don't work, you cannot eat. That is the basic thing. Labor is the basic thing. Right? To Marx, labor is the main aspect to which man reacts with nature and shapeshift. Okay. So without labor, without work, you cannot react with labor, nature, the nature that is there, and you cannot shape it. And by the process of shaping the nature, the process of reacting with the nature, the process of shaping the nature, he gets shaped and realize the ultimate potential and attain true freedom. Okay. So that is the most important, which is the most important activity, human activity according to Karl Marx? Labor, work. Okay. So Marx extremely worried that in capitalism, even in that labor is being alienated. Okay. So that is the reason he says capitalism finds you the brutal form of alienation. In capitalism, the labor is alienated from man. He works on an object and the object becomes private property of some other capitalist. Correct? It becomes a private property. From morning and evening you work on some mobile phone or a pen or something like that. But you cannot keep it for yourself. You made it at the end of the day. Okay, you made it. For example, you are working in a firework factory. Okay. So you have made a complicated firework today, which gives you happiness to all the children, but you cannot take that home to your own children because you are only a worker. The firework which you have created is now a product of a capitalist. Even if you want it, you have to buy it in the market. Right? You cannot say I created it, it's mine. Say I might have made this total chair. Okay, but after making the chair, I cannot take that home because my child wants a chair. This is a product of the capitalist, the person who invested money. Okay, my product of labor, my labor. This is born out of my labor. The firework is born out of my labor. The pen, everything is born of my labor. But I cannot take it home. It becomes a product of a capitalist. Someone else wants it. I created it. Immediately after the creation, it's been alienated. Someone else says, I own it. Even if you want, give me some of the place. Correct. Marx says this is one of the pathetic and brutal form of alienation, where your own product gets alienated from you immediately. Right? And his labor is rewarded with money which man worships. Again, commodification, I will take you a little bit later. The commodified labor in the capitalist system dominates the man as any other commodity, hence labor is alienated. I will take you commodity, what is commodification very soon. This alienation of labor now starts to show its brutal reciprocal impact by alienating the man from his own human self, that is human possibilities to realize freedom. How? We will see in the next slide. How in the workplace, in the factory, the alienation, the most brutal form of alienation happens. This alienation has fourfold aspect. Man alienates from the production activity. He neither decides what to produce, how to produce, nor he has the complete knowledge of production activity. Okay. Mechanically you go to a job. Mechanically you go to a job. They would say do this. You will not be instructed about the total where you are working, which project you are working, what is part you are working on, nothing they will tell you. Okay, they will tell you work on this, that's it. You will not decide on the total process also. Someone manager, some supervisor or the management would have decided. This is how it should be done. Okay. Without giving without having a clear clarity on what you are doing, you go to a factory, you do it. So you don't decide what to produce. Okay, whether I am going to produce a pen or a paper, you don't decide it. Okay, that is also decided by the management. How to produce, what method you are going to produce, again you don't decide it. Again that will be dictated to you by the management. They will give you, this is what you should do in the factory. Mechanically you have to follow the instruction of the management. You have no free hand in deciding, okay, I know this method which is better than that method. You are no one to say it. Mechanically follow it, that's it. How to produce, nor he has the complete knowledge of the production activity. Nothing, right? So, due to the specialization of labor, of course, we all know the Adam Smith specialization of labor, where this pen, this cap would be produced by someone, the nib inside will be produced by someone, and the ink inside will be produced by someone else, and the bottom will be produced by someone else, and finally everything will be joined by someone else. Specialization of labor. So we do not know exactly what is the processes. Mechanically you do something, go. You will get money for it. Right. So that is the first point. Second point, man is alienated from his products he produces. Just now as I told you. Okay, I work completely in the factory. Say I am working in a car factory, and finally the car is not mine. Okay, someone else owns it. The man is alienated from other men. Just because you live an extremely mechanical life in a society, there is a workplace, you cannot also speak with the other men, you cannot also, which man is very much capable of. Okay, man is very much capable of to show love towards other men, but because of the mechanical life that we are living today, we don't have time to chit chat, to have love, to show our love to other men. Okay, so we constantly fight. Man is alienated from other men, stripped off as a species being, the real capacity of man to realize his freedom. The fourth point is, man is alienated from himself. Because he is alienated from all the other things. You have to understand it very clearly. That is the reason he gave this as a fourth point. Okay. Because he is alienated from the labor, because he is alienated from the other men, because he is alienated from his products that he produced, finally man is alienated from his own self. From his own inner self. Okay. So this is the most dangerous form that happens in the capitalist society. Step by step you have to understand. The most essential thing is labor. So in the workplace, first thing is he is alienated from the labor. Just because he is alienated from labor, the second step comes into place. He is alienated from the products he produces. Just because he is alienated from the products he produces, the third point comes into place. That is, he is alienated from his own species being. This is for fellow men. Okay, and just because all the three things comes into place, the fourth point comes into being. That is, he is alienated from his own self. Alienation completes in a capitalist society. So that is what Marx wants to negate. So again, a typical Marxist thought would say, all these forms of alienation will die only when a communist society is born. Easy answer. Okay, a communist society is born. Always, communism is a solution to all the problems that Marx has pictured. Okay, he will speak about a lot of problems. Essentially, all problems are true. Essentially, so that is the reason Sun Yat-sen said, Karl Marx is the greatest pathologist of the world. Probably he could not have given a good solution to the problems, but he is the first person who diagnosed the problems of capitalism. Okay, all the problems that he said about religion or alienation, the contradiction that he is going to speak about, or the polar, all absolutely right. That will hold good for any capitalist society. But the solution that Marx has given is not correct. Okay, that is the reason Sun Yat-sen said, Sun Yat-sen, the person who brought the first Chinese revolution. The second Chinese, the socialist revolution is brought by Mao. Before that, there was a normal republican democratic revolution that was brought by Sun Yat-sen. That Sun Yat-sen has said, Marx was the greatest pathologist of the world. He understood what affected what. Okay. Now we will go to the another simple concept called as contradiction. Already we have discussed about contradiction without naming what is contradiction for simplicity. Okay, so initially I don't want to tell something in a more complicated way, so I used simplified terminologies. Now it's time to discuss it deeply. Contradiction. All philosophers believed contradiction exists in society and the society change because of contradictions. What is contradictions? The presence of opposites, the same thing. Okay. We discussed Hegel's philosophy, idea, right? What Hegel said, thesis and antithesis, which is nothing but contradiction. A contradiction in idea. The opposite idea do exist. Correct? Nothing but contradiction. So, all philosophers thought in every society, any society, contradictions exist. Marx also said yes. But what is the reason for the contradiction? That's the question. Okay. Again, a simple answer. In a Marxist thought, what is the reason for the contradiction? The material structure of the society. Simply put it. Okay. For Hegel, the contradiction created change. Idea reacted with the counter idea, thesis, antithesis, and that created synthesis, and the synthesis became new thesis. So a contradiction of ideas created a new idea, again a contradiction of idea. Okay, but Marx opposed it. All these things we already saw. So I am not going to repeat it. All these things we already saw. So Marx contradicted it and said, idea do not normally react with each other, but it reacts with the contradiction that is there in the material society. Material world. All of us already know that how revolution happens. Because there is a contradictory property relations with the relations of production. When that become contradictory, when that become incapable, the actual revolution is born. So contradiction is an essence of Marxist thought. Okay. So Marx says, presence of opposites in a society are imbibed in a process. I will tell you what is the process very soon. For example, presence of rich and poor in the same society is contradiction. Okay. Social contradictions. The society has produced both rich and poor. Okay. All of you read in the same college, and one person become a richer person and he dominates most of the capitalist enterprises. Another person becomes a laborer and a worker and dies without a penny. Contradiction. The society, the same college has created both a rich person, intellectual person, a poor person, and an idiot, as you put it. Right. So, for many years, philosophers thought contradiction is a social change. This is what I said about Hegel. Marx rejects this formulation where contradiction travels purely in an idealistic plane. In an idealistic plane. For him, it is the contradictions in the materialistic relations of the human being which is the essence of social change. Okay. Again, this is very easy, that for Hegel, contradiction is the universal phenomena, but for Marx, the nature of contradiction depends on the type of the material society. For Marx, everything is based on the type of the material society. Okay. For Marx, everything is mode of production specific. Always remember, the type of religion, the type of culture, the type of state, the type of any idea depends upon the type of mode of production. So simple to understand, Marxism. right? Base and superstructure, right? So depends upon the type of material society. Hence, the nature of contradiction differs from a slave society to the feudal society to a capitalist society, but it will not end. When contradiction will end? Easy answer: communist society. Marxism becomes easy now. Okay, so it is always material specific, and all the problems will end only if a communist society is born. Okay. The highest form of contradiction is found in capitalist society, where every act has a tendency of opposite force imbibed in it. Marx gives a simple example, very famous example. How your own work helping you to lose your work. See, I work in a factory. I work 15 hours, 16 hours in a factory. Because I work so well, the capitalist who is accumulating a lot of capital now is buying a machine. With whose money he bought this machine? He bought this machine because I work very well. My colleagues, 100 people, because we work tirelessly, we created a lot of capital for the capitalist. He got lot of profit because of all these 100 people there who worked in the factory, and he bought machines out of the capital, accumulated capital. Now he says, 50 people lose your jobs. Marx says, my job, my labor contradicts my future job, my future labor. Contradictions. The essence of contradiction is the very process of capitalism. I understood. I work tirelessly, but now the very job has taken my future job. This is the essence of capitalism, Marx says. Capitalism has these seeds of contradiction. So that is the reason later trade unionists said don't work. We will see that also. Trade unionism, that is coming very soon. Okay. So, Marx gives a simple example. The job of the laborer helps in accumulating capital to the capitalist. With the help of the newly developed capital, the capitalist buy lot of machines, and because of this, the laborer who worked for years in the company loses his job. This is not how. Who works for? Hence, your job makes you to lose your own job. The forces of contradiction is imbibed inside the process of job or work. Okay. Hence, according to Marx, capitalist society is the worst society where contradictions looms large. Again, when contradiction will end, that is the last paragraph. When you go to a communist society. Communist society is a real society where the society is devoid of any contradictions. In a communist society, any action will not create any contradiction. Okay, whether it will come or not, no one knows. Okay, but Marx believed that it would come. Right. Any doubt in these contradictions? Any doubt in these contradictions, guys? Okay, we'll come to that question when I come to the surplus value. I'll take that in detail. One more slide. Okay, please wait. Okay, commodification of labor. Right? Commodification of labor. What is commodification of labor? What is a commodity? Any product that is being produced that is sold in a market. Now Marx says in capitalism even labor is sold like a commodity, dependent on the market forces. If the supply of the labor is large, what happens? The wage that the laborer gets becomes reduced. If the supply of labor is less, then the wage of the labor becomes higher. But the intrinsic value of the labor, the quality of labor, the intrinsic value of the labor Labor is with which the man reacts with nature. How that can be commodified? Like how it has been bought and sold in the market. Categorically, labor is superior. But this market world does not sees any category. Does not see. Only sees about profit, money, market. But for Marx, labor is the most essential thing with which you realize your freedom, your true freedom. Only if you react with nature and shape it, you can enjoy your true freedom in the Marxist thought. So, such categorically superior labor is being allowed to get commodified, like how a commodity is sold in a market, bought and sold in a market. The market forces determine your wage rates now. Okay. So you read IT, information technology, BE, information technology, BTech. So if the supply is large, then salary will be very, very less. Supply is less and the demand is huge, then now there is a huge demand for IT professionals, isn't it? Even mechanical campus job, even the mechanical engineers, only IT companies take. Okay, so is the supply. I hear so. But I know a lot of engineers are jobless. Okay, maybe a lot of engineers here also. Correct. Typically I am telling you. Right. So when there is a demand, so Marx says this labor is also commodified like any other commodity. So for Marx, labor is the essence of human living. Without exercising his labor force, the man cannot live a species life. The man cannot live a species life. In capitalism, this most essential thing is being commodified. It is sold and bought in the market like how a commodity is sold and bought. The labor value is based on the market forces. The most essential part of the human, that is labor, is not given due respect that it deserves in the capitalist system of production, but it is commodified like any other normal soulless commodity. The soul of the human being, that is the labor. He calls labor the soul of the human being, is made soulless in the capitalist system. Okay, this is what commodification of labor is. Okay, any doubt in this? Please ask me, online students. No doubts from the online students for the past 3 classes. Right, any doubt in this? Any doubt in commodification of labor? Now I will go to the other most important thing, which is nothing but surplus value. Right. I think some 5 years back I started Marxism with surplus value. So Marxism can be taught from any which other angle. Okay. For many people, the most important aspect of Karl Marx theory is surplus value. Okay, that's how you see it. Okay. No, see, we can take either way. So let's go to surplus value now. Where Marx comes from. We have already seen that for Marx, labor is the most essential thing. Labor is the most essential thing. How Marx derives this equation? Adam Smith's labor theory of value. Marx is a subscriber of Adam Smith's labor theory of value. What this theory says? Labor theory of value of Adam Smith. Adam Smith supposed to be the father of political economy. Okay, very first time he is the person who gave the logic of economics. Okay, maybe economics became a science only with the advent of Adam Smith's theories. Right. Adam Smith formulates a simple theory called as labor theory of value. What is it? Simple. Labor is the source of all value of an object, because all the other things are naturally available in the nature. Okay. For example, I am going to make this wooden stand. Okay, wooden stand. Tell me what what made this wooden stand to this, that wood in the tree to this wooden stand? Wood in the tree is naturally available. Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this? No doubt. Wood is naturally available. So that wood has been converted to this wooden stand. What are the things that is involved? Tell me. What are the things that is involved, guys? So simple to think. Yes, please. Think something else also. Tools. Okay. Iron tool. Put iron tool. Iron, where is it available? Iron, where is it available? Nature. Who made that iron from nature as a tool? What made? Think. See, you say anything, finally everything will come to labor. Answer for your question. Okay. Finally everything will come to labor. Without labor, nothing would have been produced. What is the basic thing for producing everything? Is labor. You say iron tool, was okay, let's discuss. Iron tool, iron naturally available, that has been made as a tool by some other laborer. Correct? So some other labor is involved, some other labor. At the end of the day, everything is labor. See, for example, as she has pointed out, it is not just labor, sir, there is also investment that is there. This is because you are living in a capitalist mode of production. Because in a capitalist mode of production, you have some private property. So because it is someone privately owned, he says that I am a landowner. So just because one person is landowner, you have to give him a rent, correct? Okay, otherwise if there is no private property, then there is no rent, correct? So that part is ended. Then another thing is investment, money investment. Just because it's a capitalist society, why I need investment first of all? Because I am a capitalist, I want to do this and do business. So I am going to give wages to all of you. Right? That is the reason I need investment. But when there is no private property at all at the first case, all of us jointly, collectively do a business, then what is the requirement of the investment there? Investment is the labor only. Think. See, I need investment today because I have to employ 100 people. I have to build this building. I build this building based on only labor without any employment. All of us join together build this building. Why do we need an investment there? See, similarly I build this tool. See, you said about iron tool. For that iron tool also, without investing, 5 people go, you take the mining, you mine it, you take the bauxite out of it and you make into iron tool. Sorry, either out of it and make iron tool. Some tool you make it. Okay. So again, there is no investment that is required. See, this investment is required because of the capitalist mode of production. Any doubt in this? Please think. Because there is capitalism that is there, you need a landlord, you need investment, you need money, you need a banker. All these classes are created because there is a capitalist mode of production. If the capitalist mode of production is not there, then there is only socialist mode of production. Banker class is not required. The landowner class is not required because there is no private property. You understand? Think. Okay. Because we are living in a capitalist society. Sorry? Okay. Okay. Like, see, probably if we are living in a socialist society, how it has been organized, I am not very sure. Whether it is organized based on communes, then collectively all of you sit and discuss about this new tool which you got in your idea, and all the other people of the same commune will vote. Maybe I am giving an example. Will vote, okay, this idea is very good, so that let's produce it. Then all of you, say there are 100 people in that particular commune, and you sit and discuss about, okay, what are the jobs that is required to realize that idea. Okay, 10 people has to do this job, 10 people has to do this job. So you organize. You understand? So you got some idea. That is not the society how it is today. Correct. 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 See, entrepreneurship will not exist at all because there is no private property. How entrepreneurship will exist? See, in a socialist society, you cannot individually start a business. It's about social. Okay. You can start a business only as a collective group. So, individual entrepreneurship do not exist there at all. You are not part of an individual. You are not an individual. You are part of a society. That is the reason I said Marxism. Marx believed in creating small communes. Okay, small communes. This concept of communes is actually taken from Bakunin. Okay, so every commune is democratically organized in a Marxist thought. Even Marx believed even a collector could be recalled. Probably the first political philosopher who asked a bureaucrat could be recalled would have been Karl Marx. Okay, he said even a bureaucrat, the people should have the right to recall the bureaucrat if they want. Understood? So he wanted to create small commune-based society where what to produce, how to produce, what you said will be democratically decided by all the people there. It might have been an idea from any one of you, single idea. So you immediately cannot start a business there in a communist society. You discuss with your fellow men, which men is very much capable of. We saw that, right? Men is very much capable of discussing with other men. So you sit and discuss what to produce, how to produce. And you decide among yourself, okay, this guy is very good in engineering, this guy is very good in carpentry, this guy is very good in teaching. So we need all this in our society. So you do this job, you do that job. You sit and discuss, democratically decide and do it. There is no entrepreneurship there. Okay, that is the reason again I am telling you. Think only because there is capitalism that is there. You have investment, you have a banking class, you have all these classes. If there is nothing there, finally all these things that have been produced, can be deciphered to labor. This theory was not told by Marx, this theory was told by Adam Smith. Okay, Marx takes the theory of Adam Smith. Okay, Adam Smith told the same theory of labor theory of value, but from that he derived his own concept of natural price, market price, and from there he went to capitalism. But Marx took the same labor theory of value. From that theory he developed the concept of surplus value. Okay, and he comes to socialist path. What is surplus value? Surplus value is simple. This is the value that is accrued by the capitalist, the unpaid labor. Okay, see, for example, I will put it this way. I make this wooden table. Okay, I have been paid only 100 rupees. But this wooden table is being sold for 1000 rupees. Then what is the surplus value? 900. That's it. 900. That's it. So this is the surplus value, which is the capitalists give as an interest, rent, and also accrues as a profit. Everything. Okay. So the surplus value, I will read it. Surplus value denotes the value of the labor done by the worker for which is not paid at all. In simple words, surplus value is the difference between the amount of money accrued by the capitalist by selling an item and that of the amount of money paid to the laborer. Right. So it is the surplus value is the sole reason for accumulation of capital. The capitalist becomes richer and richer. By what? Because he accrues the surplus value. The labor is the sole creation of total value. Okay. All the things that has been created today, it is because of labor. But the labor is paid based on market prices, commodified market prices. Okay. And they will say the supply of labor is very huge, so I will give you only 100 rupees. Okay. And for the 100 rupees, he has made so much of things and everything is alienated from him. The desk I produce is being alienated from me. I don't own it. Someone else owns it. and he sells that for 1000 rupees, and the value is also 800 from me. I produce the total 1000 rupees, but that guy has given me only 100 rupees as a wage. Remaining 900 rupees, that particular person took that as a capital. Capital investment. Assumingly, does not, he need not give it to any other interest or something like that. Assumingly. Okay, you understood. So, surplus value is the basic reason in the Marxist thought why capitalism develops. It is economic theory. Okay. Right. Any doubt in this case? This is enough for you. We need not go much deeper into it. This is enough. Any doubt in this surplus value? I hope you understood the concept of labor theory of value. Once you understand labor theory of value, surplus value becomes very, very easy. Okay. So, labor is the sole value, sole creation of all value. Without labor, nothing is being created here. Okay. So, labor is the reason for everything, source of all value. Right. But the labor has been paid only a meager amount, and all the other amount is being accrued by the capitalist. And that amount, the unpaid labor, which is nothing but surplus value, and with the help of the unpaid labor, certain things is being shared by the landlords, certain amount is being shared by the banker, the certain amount is being taken by the capitalist as a profit, and that profit is again being reinvested as a capital, and that capital, with the help of that capital, what they do? They dictate terms, they control politics, they become chief minister, they become prime minister, and they control our lives. With whose money? Our money. Understand? So, with our money, the capitalist is controlling the total economic system of the society with our money, with our labor. You work and you have been controlled by your own work. That is contradiction. You work, and because of your work, that person is setting the tones of the total politics of the state. He makes laws on behalf of you in the name of democracy. Correct? He makes religion. He says this is how the caste should behave, upper caste should behave, lower caste should behave. This is how another religion, the people of this religion, women of this religion should behave. All these things have been dictated by one person. Who is controlling that? The people with the money power. How they got that money power? This is because of your job. You worked and gave that money power to those people, and with the help of that money power, they are controlling the total society, they are setting the tone of the total idea of the society, and you have been dominated by the very job that you did. All these things happen where? In the capitalist society. You understood? So that is the reason Marx says capitalism is the brutal society. But don't worry, a socialist revolution is coming very soon. So the capitalist society will have its own death knell. Right. So the last criticism of Karl Marx is the polarization of classes, two major classes. Okay. What is this polarization of classes? It encompasses three processes. First one is obliteration of the differences of labor. Due to the advent of machines, differences between the skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled laborers tend to disappear. Right. 1 minute. See, that is something that we are seeing today because of the advent of computers. Now, every job is being mostly done by the computer. Okay, what you do? You only type things. Okay. Those days, everything would be done by the labor itself. For example, to make this or make this building. Nowadays, CAD. Everything is being programmed. Okay, you click a button, the design automatically comes. Already pre-existing design will be there. Lot of other formulas, everything being applied. Okay, and you have to do a small change, that's it. That is, with a little bit of training, anyone can do. Okay. So Marx says, due to the advent of machines, differences between skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled laborers is reduced. It is relatively true. If we go to all banks, whether it's a Citibank or any outsourcers, business outsourcing process centers, they say, why should I give you more money for experienced people? If you work for 5 years, they will say, okay, if you want to resign, I will get a fresher. There is no value for experience today. Why there is no value for experience today? There is nothing called a skilled laborer today. They don't want a skilled laborer because everything is done by the computer. What you are going to do? Within 1 month you can learn the process. So many people now in these industries are facing the trouble. You get 10 years, 15 years experienced people, they are not getting the price, the money that they expect. They say, okay, if they speak with the manager or the supervisor, they would say, no problem, if you want you resign. No problem, we will get a fresher. Because the job that you are doing, so I am paying you 60,000, you want another 10,000 hike because you say you are 15 years experience. I don't want a 15 years experience guy for this particular job. Okay, because this is a very easy job. Some unskilled or even a semi-skilled laborer can also do this job. So if you want to resign, I will get a fresher from the fresher market, 10,000 rupees, I will find a person to do this job. That is how they have been threatened. You might be very young. If you ask with any of your friends or brothers who are these industries, they would say, nowadays the gap has been extremely reduced. There is no big gap between the skilled, semi-skilled, probably in some industry, maybe yes, probably in programming industry, in IT. Okay, that is there you need a little bit of skill. But even in the IT, I heard my friend was telling me, like program it's okay, but otherwise for our testing, okay, he said everything is basically nowadays computerized. Like you need not do a lot of things in testing, lot of knowledge is also not required. Programming, yes, the difference between the semi-skilled and skilled is there, but most of the jobs is not there, most of the jobs. Okay, so this is one thing Marx has said, obliteration of the differences of labor, pauperization of the working class. Point number 2, the income difference between the working class and the capitalist goes on increasing. That we are seeing today. We understand that because of globalization, that the poverty level of India is reduced. No doubt in it. No one can argue against it. But the inequality, that's something. If we see that plane, the rich are becoming highly richer and richer and richer. The gap is extending a lot today. That is again was told by Marx, pauperization of working class. Okay, the working class, the difference between the status or the money that is being got by the working class and the capitalist goes on increasing, the difference. Okay. Today we might see, because of this highest form of capitalism that we are living today, the working class is earning more. Yes, they are earning a little bit more, but what they earned some 20 years ago, no doubt in it. But the difference between what the working class is earning and what the rich class is earning is huge. Pauperization of the working class. Third point, amalgamation of intermediate strata and the working class. So Marx speaks about polarization of two major classes. Hope you all remember when I said in the capitalist, the highest form of capitalism, what happens? Only two classes exist directly facing each other. One is capitalist, another one is proletariat. Correct? That is called as polarization of two major classes. So how this polarization happens? Marx said there are three inner processes. First one is obliteration or differences of labor, next one is pauperization of working class, next one is amalgamation of intermediate strata into the working class. So all the other classes, already we said, doctor is a separate class, a writer is a separate class, okay, the lumpen proletariat is a separate class, okay, the petty bourgeoisie again is a separate class. So in the highest form of capitalism, Marx said all these classes will subsume into a working class, and polarization of classes will happen. Okay, so amalgamation of all these intermediate strata into the working class or other class also, maybe few people will amalgamate into the capitalist class. Okay, mostly will amalgamate into the working class, and all these processes finally creates polarization of two major classes. Okay, right? Any doubt in this case? Right, with this I end Marxism. There are also other things which I have not taken in Marxism, like I have not dwelt into Lenin's concept, Trotsky's concept as of now, because of lack of time. Already I have taken some 5.5 hours for Marxism. Okay, almost 5.5 hours we have discussed on Marxism, so I don't want to again and again discuss the same thing. So we will see when I get time. So probably if we get more time, we will go into that also. Otherwise, you read it yourself, because so much of time we cannot. I have to finish the syllabus also. Other things is also there in the syllabus, right? Any doubt in this case? Anything else also you can ask me in Marxism.
I have a question to add on to the entrepreneurship idea that one of my friends said. So in case if I have an idea and if that is a specific need and I'm living in a socialist society, and if that is being put to a vote by the commune and majority of them are restricting it, so wouldn't that contradict the liberalism then?
See, you have to understand, communism is not a society that we are going to make today. Communism is a society that will evolve. So, once Marx has posited an idea, found an idea of a communist society, the continuous struggle against capital, all of you would have the idea or would have developed that idea of bringing in a consensus. Okay. So you said something about contradicting your idea, na? That will not happen in such a society. Okay, that's the belief of Marx. Okay. So this is not a society that you pick 10 individuals, immediately you put that in a commune. Okay, you are going to live in a commune, like how Israel, I think it's not Israel, Turkey tried this. Okay, Turkey tried this, but that is not what Marx is speaking about. Marx is speaking about a society that evolves. After the communist socialist revolution, a socialist society is born, and after the socialist society, slowly and steadily, all this contradiction negates itself. A society without contradictions is born. Okay, where everyone according to their needs, according to their contribution, according to their needs will live. Okay, that is kind of society that will be born. So this is the kind of a society where these things will not be there. That is why many people said that's a utopian, that will not exist. Okay, but Marxist thought, because you continuously fight against this capital, these differences, you will find a way to bring in a consensus. That's it. Okay, you will find a way to bring in a consensus. This contradiction will not be there. Okay, we are not understanding it because we are living, we are theorizing that in a capitalist society. If you ask a typical Marxist, you would say you will understand the fruits of communism only if the communist society itself is born. Okay, so let's wait for the answer. Any other doubts, guys? Any other doubts? Inverted consciousness. See, the consciousness need to develop because of the domination of capital. That's it. You put it this way. Okay. In a capitalist society, the capitalists dominate the economic structure, and since they dominate the economic structure of the society, they set the tone of all the ideas. Okay, so you think that you have some kind of consciousness about everything regarding marriage, religion, anything. Okay, this is the best way, but you tend to forget this consciousness that you have developed is being, without your knowledge, is being manipulated by whom? The capitalist. You are in constant manipulation of power, guys. You are in constant manipulation of power. Who is manipulating that power? Capitalists. You do not know that if your power is being manipulated. You do not know your ideas have been manipulated. You think this is the best way of running a government. This is the best way of running a religion. This is the best way of running a family. This is the best way of everything you think. But you do not know you are in constant manipulation of power. Someone is manipulating this. Someone is manipulating your ideas. You understand? Someone, who is that someone? The people who controls the capital. But you do not know that. That is the reason Marx says this consciousness that you develop because of the material structure of society is a truly inverted consciousness. That is inverted upon the domination that is there in the material structure of the society. It is inverted upon it. It is inverted based on the class relation that exists in the material structure of the society, the domination that exists inside the class relation in the material structure of the society. Based on that, certain consciousness has been developed. It's an inverted consciousness. It has been a manipulated consciousness. Who is manipulating it? The people, the class who is controlling the material structure of the society. You do not know that all these things are manipulated. You do not know it, but without knowing it, we are heading to it. Okay? That is what an inverted consciousness is all about. In a Marxist thought, all consciousness is inverted in nature, including ideology. That is the reason Marx says ideology is a false consciousness. Why Marx says ideology is a false consciousness? Because all consciousness is inverted in nature. It is being under constant manipulation by the people who control the capital or people that control the material structure of the society. Understood? So all consciousness are inverted, so is ideology. That is the reason Marx said, I do not want Marxism as ideology. All that I know is I am not a Marxist. Famous statement of Karl Marx. All that I know is that I am not a Marxist. Because Marx himself said, ideology is a false consciousness. But Lenin came and said, no. We need ideology of Marxism. Vanguard party thesis. Vanguard party thesis. Lenin is the person who is creating Marxism as an ideology. Lenin says, we need an ideology of leadership to take forward our communist party, and that ideology is nothing but the ideology of Karl Marx, what I call as Marxism, said Lenin. So Marx, when he started Communist League, Marx starts Communist League in 1847, I'm sorry. Okay. 1846 was another organization. Then it will again culminates into 1847, it's called the Communist League. Okay, two organizations it floats. And for this was actually Communist League, Karl Marx actually writes the Communist Manifesto in 1848. Okay. And everyone, then this organization, Communist League again dismantled, then Communist International comes into being. And Communist International till the death of Karl Marx, it was there. Okay. And many people are asking, what is the ideology of Communist International, whether it's Marxism. Marx denied it. All ideas are inverted consciousness. So any ideology is nothing but inverted consciousness. So there cannot be any ideology of party. Communism is a science. It will happen. Revolution is inevitable. It will happen. You understood? But Lenin is the person who changed it a little bit and said, we need an ideology for a communist party, a leadership ideology, or a vanguard party we need, and that party is nothing but communist party, and that ideology is nothing but Marxism. Said Lenin. Right? Okay. Any doubt? Any doubt? Any other thing?
The capital is also a form of labor.
Capital is a form of labor.
Because let's say I am starting a company, I am investing 10 lakhs. That 10 lakhs I got from my father. He had to work, he had to do his labor. Right? So that is how he earned.
See,
that is also a form of labor.
that is not a form of labor, it's a kind of a surplus value that is accrued from your father's labor, and you are inheriting it without doing anything.
Yes, sir, but it's still someone's labor, right?
See, but how can you inherit? That's a problem.
That is not the problem of surplus value, right? That's the problem of
See, point number one is, it's about creating a society where everything is being nationalized. Okay. Marx believed that cannot be done just like that, but it is a problem of transformation. Okay, then the social theory comes, right? So, as you said, in a kind of, in the way of you are inheriting some property, whether it is a labor, creator or something, inheritance itself essentially is wrong. At the end of the day, that is going to create so much of problems. Okay. In a typical Marxist thought, inheritance of property is not allowed. Okay. So how can you argue that is a labor of someone? Then I will argue, and see, that is the reason in Marxism they would say the concept of primitive accumulation. Okay. This concept of primitive accumulation is there in all, even liberal thinkers also. How initially that particular property has been accumulated in a just means or unjust means. Okay. You never know how your father, your grandfather actually took that labor. Okay. Individually they could not have created this property. Okay. Whether it's a just mean or unjust mean, no one knows. So that is the reason, forget everything. It is about creation of a society where private property does not exist. That is why you have to think. Okay. In a typical Marxist thought, inheritance is not allowed. Right. I believe you are not convinced, but still we will discuss it little bit later also. See, a labor essentially, once it is inherited, okay, it is in the form of capital. For Marx, what is the definition of capital? I think I already told you this. Capital essentially is a social power and a social relation in the Marxist thought. Okay. It itself is a social power. It is not a thing that is there. In capital, Marx defines capital as, it is not a thing, but it's a social relation. Okay. So ideally, as you said, all this labor power has been culminated in some kind of social relation, and that has formed as a capital in a Marxist thought. There is no argument there. But the question is, who inherits it? That's the question in your example that you gave. Okay. It is a product of the society. It's a social power. How can individually you can inherit it? Capital is a social power. It's a social relation. Your father would have got that money because of the social relation that he had with the other laborers there. It's a social relation, correct? Then how it can be acquired as individual property? That's the very question. Categorically it is wrong. It is wrong. See, it's a social relation. I relate with all laborers and I make this money. This is a social relation. This money that I made is the product of the social relation of all the 100 laborers that is there. How that product of the social relation of all the 100 laborers can be acquired by only your father alone? Tell me. Individually no one can create a family. See, individually can you go and cut the tree and make this into a table? Tell me. You can't. 100% you can't. Your father also could not have done it. Correct. So he would have related with other laborers to create this table, and then you would have sold it to someone else. Again there is a relation took place. So this social relation is created the capital. Correct. No doubt in it. Once these social relations has created the capital, tell me how that capital could be individually owned. Tell me. How? It is a social product of all the labor that is involved, all the 100 people that is involved. Correct? Not just your father. Correct? 100 people, then it should be owned by all the 100 people. How only your father owns it?
My father saves the salary and then
What is the salary?
salary for this labor.
See, again in that labor you would have got it from relating with other people, correct? Any doubt in it? See, your father working in a which factory? A mining factory? Okay, let's put it. In a mining factory, your father is working. Single-handedly, without the help of any other labor, can your father take that out?
Some share he will get, right, for his work.
That is not the share that he gets for work, his work. It's a share that is get as a product of a species being, because he is related with the other men. Marx allows individual property. Okay, the fruits of your labor, your father, can be taken as an individual property, but they cannot be put as a private property. There's a difference. As long as your father enjoys that for his life, that's okay. But he cannot start business on it. Then it's wrong. Because capital is a social power. Your father, being a miner, could not have mined the bauxite alone himself. Can he do it? No one in this world can do it. Even Bahubali cannot do it. He needs the help of other men. He has to relate with other men, correct? Once you start to relate with other men to take mine a product, then automatically it becomes a social product. How it is your father's? It cannot be your father's. But out of the money that you got, you can enjoy it till your life. Okay? But you cannot invest that as an investment and start a private business. Then it is wrong. Because it is not your money, it is the money of all the 100 laborers who related with you to form that particular object. You got it? At least others understood it, what I am trying to say. Okay, unless and until I don't relate with another person individually, I cannot do anything, guys. Take a simple example of this table. Individually, can I go to a tree and cut this tree into the table? Individually, is it possible? First of all, to cut this tree, I need a tool. Then I have to go to a mining center. Individually, I have to mine. Then I have to make that into a tool. First point. Is that possible? Then after making the individual tool, then I have to come and cut it. Okay. If I have to cut that table, cut that wooden tree into this table, probably I have to spend my whole life. Probably whole life. I have to spend my 50 years to do it. It's not possible. Because everything I need for axe, I need metal. For that I have to go to mining first. Okay. First I have to learn mining, then I have to do mining, then I have to take a metal, then I have to create axe. So everything single-handedly no one in this world can do. No one. Forget it. So I have to relate with other men. Correct or not? Without relating with other men, I cannot produce any object in this world. So this relation with other men has produced all these things. So no one can claim individuality. Leave only your father. No one can claim individuality. We are not an individual in the society. Capital is a social power. You understood? Capital is a social power. You can't do it. Okay. But if you argue that's fruits of my labor, Marx allows you to enjoy it, but as an individual property. But if you start to invest that as a private, then it becomes wrong. Why? Because capital is a social power. All 100 people who related to create this table into this wood into this table enjoys the ownership of the table, not only your father. Correct? So then it becomes wrong. Okay, that is the reason Marxist thought individual property is allowed, private property is not allowed. Okay. Think. Again, you are not satisfied, ask me, because others will be confused. It will be confusing to others. Okay, I think I answered this. Okay, I hope all of you understood. Right? Did you understand? See, only by relating with other men we can produce. Tell me one simple thing in this world which I produce without relating with other men. The mask that you are wearing. Okay, this mask, to create this, how many human relations you want, guys? Because it consists of small metal inside, and that metal has to be made by some miner somewhere. Then that metal has to be shaped. That has to be made by some group of people. And again, it consists of cotton also, I suppose, and a thread, and many things are involved. Even I don't know what are the ingredients. Many things are there. So to make this, at least some 1,000 human relations would have been required. Minimum 1,000. Okay. From the raw material, all the raw material that is naturally available, till that raw material to make this mask, at every stage of production, at least some 1,000 human relations is possible. 1,000 human relations. Okay. So much is required, so then how can one individual can accumulate this as a private property? This is wrong in a Marxist thought. Because this is the labor of 1,000 people. This is capital, is a social power. It's a social relation. The social relation, 1,000 social relations is inherent in this mask alone. Take all the other material things that is there. Crores and crores of social relations. So we created this material world because of these social relations. How we related with other men. So if everything is created by relating with other men, how you can individually own it? Isn't that is wrong? For Marx it is wrong. You might not find it wrong. But for Marx it is wrong. Marx it is wrong. See, all of us relate and create this, and one person owns it. If you want it as individually, that's okay. Till your death it can't be there. But you cannot invest it back as a private property and start a business. Then you are doing injustice to the society in a Marxist thought. Okay. In other words, you are again sowing seeds for contradictions. Okay. Right. Any other doubts? Any other doubts, guys? Theses and antitheses. Please slow. Please.
abolishing it, reform teaching because of that. It is all very rational. But then at the end they're simply telling me communism is solution for everything. So how can we completely say that? So if communism wants to completely anarchist might come.
That is what, see, many people said Marxism is a utopian theory himself. Marx criticized a certain socialist as utopian socialist. We will see now. Okay. But at the end of the day, Marx himself believes in an anarchist society, a society where there is no state exists. Marx basically is an anarchist. What is anarchism? Anarchism is a condition where there is no state, where human being enjoys based on freedom. Okay. But what is the true freedom? Okay. Marx believed a true freedom can be enjoyed only in a society without contradictions. A society do not create any contradictions. We saw what is a contradiction. And it's a kind of a belief in an event. History. Marx belief in history. So that is the reason many people criticize Marx as a historical determinant. Marx believed in the movement of the history. The world moves from a stage of imperfect material production to a stage of perfect material production, where everything will be perfect because the material production itself is perfect, believed Marx. This particular formulation, probably it does not hold true now, and many are criticizing Marx for the very reason, and I also accept with you that is not a possibility. Probably Marx was wrong. But Marx's analysis of capitalism is worth thinking. Whatever Marx has said about capitalism, 100% true today. Okay. All the other 5 points of criticism of Karl Marx, whether that is alienation, whether the contradictions, or whether the polarization of classes, or Marx's opinion on religion, whatever, or the Marx concept of political economy, the people with political power will be invariably economically powerful, the people with economical power will be invariably politically powerful. All these things always holds true. Okay, you cannot argue against all these formulations of Karl Marx. No one can argue against the formulation of Karl Marx. The only where we can argue is Marx's belief in an event, historical event, where Marx believed that a socialist society will come and the socialist society will give way to a communist society, where the society will be without any contradictions, and as you said, the true freedom will be realized. This belief in the historical event probably look little bit utopian. Even a very ardent Marxist will not accept it as a truth. But yes, it's a criticism. Right. Exactly. So that is what, see, whether in the communist society, whether the contradictions will be there, what I have answered for her question. See, how probably Marx believed that when the continuous struggle against capital, Marx believed that a position would come where the people will not contradict each other. Okay, so it's a kind of a belief. That is what I told. It's a belief of Marx in one historical event that slowly and steadily, because of this event, probably the people will not have any contradiction, the people will not contradict, the idea of consensus get rooted in the society, all these things might happen. Okay, it's Marx's belief in the particular event, but whether the belief is right or wrong, that's a different story. Okay, many people would say the belief is wrong, it will not happen. Okay, right. Any other question in this case? See, I am wrapping up Marxism, so please ask me questions. Marxism is very, very important for political science and international relations, not just for PSIR, so also for any of your analysis in the future also. Hope you tomorrow become IAS officer, policy maker tomorrow somewhere. Your understanding of Marxism helps you a lot. So ask me questions, because we are wrapping up today. Okay, if we find time, we'll revisit it. Otherwise, we might not. I hope all of you understood Marxism. Online students also. Any doubt? Right. If you have no doubt, we'll wrap it up. 15 minutes break, take it. Then we will start with socialism. Okay. Now it is 5:43. We will start by 6. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay, can we start? So now we will go into socialism. What is socialism? There's a famous quote that is said by C.M. Joad. Socialism is like a hat which has lost its shape because everyone wears it. So everyone says that they are socialist. Okay. Everyone uses this term socialism. I am a socialist, I am a socialist. Many definitions of socialism right now, many definitions. Okay. So no one knows exactly what is the socialism is all about. Okay. But historically, socialism developed in a context, all these things we have already seen. So I am not going to revisit it, waste time. But few important points only we will discuss. Right. Socialism. As I already told you, Marxism is essentially a part of socialism. But why I took Karl Marx before this? Because it was huge and it has been sandwiched. Before Marx, utopian socialists were there, and after Marx you have Fabian socialists, guild socialists, syndicalism, all other things have come. So Marx comes in the middle. So I cannot spend some half an hour for before socialists, then that is the reason I took Marxism before. But ideally, Marxism is essential a kind of socialism, comes inside socialism. So we will see. All these things I already told you, but since I typed it, okay. In 1827, England Overnight Cooperative Magazine, it denoted anything social opposite to the concept of individual developed by liberal individualism. As we already discussed in liberalism, the most dominant form of liberalism around the early 19th century was liberal individualism. Okay. Utilitarianism was also equally famous at that point of time. Jeremy Bentham's utilitarianism. But I would say two dominant forms. One is liberal individualism, another one is utilitarianism. So all were against this concept of individual that was developed by liberal individualists, the concept of individual, which wanted to see everything from the light of the individual. Rights of the individuals are very important for them. Right, individual right. They always spoke about what is the right I get in the society, civil right, political right. Okay, I am rightfully, I need this because I am an individual. They never spoke about duties. This liberal individualism, what this ideology of liberal individualism did is, it taught its people to speak for rights, to ask for rights. Okay. It has been other way around ideally. Yesterday, in a college bus, I met few persons who are not paid the bus fees. Okay. So when we inquire that why you are not paid the first fees, their first question is, they say that they don't get seat to sit. They rightfully ask for a seat. I don't know what comes first ideally, paying the bus fees or asking rights for a seat. See, today's world is like that. Say, I have not got seat for the last 1 year, sir, but I don't complain. So you also don't complain. That was his argument. So probably I will pay the fees next month. See, that could not be the case ideally. Because we have been taught rights, about rights. Individual has these rights. So a movement emerged in the early part of 19th century which wanted to be categorically against this very notion of this individual. Individual is supreme. Individual has more rights. Individual rights comes prior than social duties. So someone wanted to say, society comes prior than individual. Society first, only then you are an individual. That movement was socialism. Okay, that movement was socialism, right? The term socialism was used to denote Owenism. So, it's an overnight cooperative magazine started by Robert Owen. Robert Owen was one of the socialists in England at that point of time. Robert Owen was criticized as utopian socialist by Karl Marx. We will see the thinking of Robert Owen in the next slide. Okay. So, he is one of the socialists, right? So, in 1827, one of his magazine first time coins this term called as socialism. In 1832, in France, a follower of Saint Simon, another socialist, famous socialist. There are many socialists in France. Actually, France has a socialist tradition. Most of the socialists you can actually trace that to France. That is the reason Marxism did not become very famous in France, at least till George Sorel's book Reflections on Violence. That is basically a syndicalist book that was written in the support of trade unionism or syndicalism. That is also a form of socialism, you will see. Till that book, but George Sorel was a Marxist basically. So till 1906, till the book was published, Marxism was not famous in France. France had other forms of socialism basically. Okay, all other kinds of revolutionary socialism had its origin in France also. Babeuf, if I am not wrong. Blanqui, another person, Blanqui is another revolutionary socialist from France. Okay, these people dominated French socialist literature than Karl Marx till 1910 and 1920, till probably the Russian Revolution took. Okay, only after the Russian Revolution, the French and most of the people around the world started to look at Marxism. Okay, because after Lenin created the Russian Revolution in 1917 and showed the world that a new path exists, till then not many people took Marx very seriously, and one such place is France, where they had their own system of socialists like Saint Simon, Charles Fourier, all these things we will see. So in 1832, France, a follower of Saint Simon called Pierre Leroux, that is a person, in a magazine Le Globe used the term to denote Simonism. So again he used the term socialism, but this time he used to denote Simonism, the ideas of Saint Simon, right? In general, slowly and steadily this meaning started to come. This is I have taken from the dictionary basically. Denote a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Okay. So Robert Owen, Charles Fourier, all these people started to discuss about social ownership of land and property. You understood? Okay. So all these people wanted to create a society where the ownership of property, ownership of land and all the other things should be socially owned. Okay. So slowly and steadily the term socialism started to get attached with this very social ownership of land and property, a kind of social organization where there is no private property that exists. Got it? So socialism got its origin with an ideology which is again liberal individualism, and slowly and steadily it got attached with the ideology of social ownership of property and land and creation of study social organization. This is what socialism is all about. That day few students asked me what is the difference between socialism and communism. So I thought all of you might be having the same doubt. So I also brought a slide to explain you what is the difference between socialism and communism, so that it becomes easier for you, all of you. Okay. See, communism again as I told you earlier, has some kind of French leaning. All this has some kind of French leaning. Okay. Again, the term communism was again brought about by Etienne Cobbard, again in France, in his book called as Icaria. Okay. So again, and even in socialism also we saw that socialism again was a term where Saint Simon, followers of Saint Simon started. So all this socialism and communism has its roots in France and French literature. Right? You should never forget this. Right? Basically, from the initial days or even from the French Revolution, slowly and steadily, a group of revolutionary movements started to come, and slowly and steadily that aspect of revolution started to get attached with social ownership of property. And okay, so any person who was a communist in 1840, any person who wanted to bring about common ownership of land through revolution was called as a communist. Okay, so what is the difference between socialism and communism in 1840? Socialism is a kind of a movement where the final goal was social ownership of land and property, but the concept of revolution was missing there. A typical communist was a person who believed in revolution, in bringing about the same common ownership of property. The term communism comes from communot, developed by Etienne Cobbard in 1839 in book Voyage in Icaria, denoting common ownership of land. So literal meaning of communism is common ownership of land. So it's a revolutionary movement which wanted to establish the common ownership of land, started around 1840s. Okay, so that is the difference between a socialism and communism yesteryear. Now there is a difference is again negated a lot. Socialism is considered as a state socialism basically. Communism again is considered as a society, but forget it, this is how it started. When you say you are a communist, literally you believe in revolution. Okay, communism believes in revolution. Socialism has many forms. One form is communism. So socialism might believe in revolution, might not believe in revolution, because the definition says it has to follow the common ownership property. It can come in an evolutionary way or revolutionary way. Either way it is socialism. But communism is a specific type of socialism where revolution becomes inevitable. This is when Marx was a little bit different, where all the other communists, because Karl Marx wanted to create revolution, but Marx said revolution is inevitable, which is in the process and will come. Okay, so what is the difference between other communists and Karl Marx? Other communists wanted to create revolution. Okay, immediately take violence in hand, kill people, kill capitalists, and start a socialist society. That is what other communists wanted to do. But Marx was different. Marx said, don't do it. First of all, understand the process of history. The history itself throws you a moment where revolution becomes inevitable. Till that moment, keep quiet. And take arms only in that moment, if you really have to. Then violence becomes inevitable, revolution becomes inevitable, and a socialist society will be born. So Marxism is a kind of a belief in certain events in history. And it also believed in revolution, okay, to an extent. But all the other revolutionaries, all the other communists believed in revolution as the tool to create socialist society. You understood the difference? So socialism is a kind of an umbrella term which wanted to create common ownership of property. Communism is a specific type of socialism which wanted to create socialism through revolutionary way. And inside that, Marxism again was a specific type of communism which believed in certain events in history and believed that only if these things comes, revolution is possible. Okay, so socialism, under that communism, under that Marxism. Okay, there are many forms of socialism. One form is communism. There are many forms of communism. One form is Marxism. Did you understand? Any doubt in this? Okay, right. So anyone, if someone asks you a question, what is the difference between socialism, communism, Marxism? This is the difference between socialism, communism, Marxism. Right. In 1846, Marx, Engels started Communist Correspondence Committee which later amalgamated with other communist organizations in the French tradition basically to start Communist League. And this Communist League invites Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels to give a manifesto called as Communist Manifesto. Okay, and it is for this Communist League Marx and Engels wrote the famous Communist Manifesto. Right. You always remember this. So what is the difference? As I told you, socialism is a philosophy which wanted to establish a common ownership of land in general. Communism is a specific type of socialism which believed in revolutionary overthrow of capitalist society as an essential condition to establish common ownership of land. So what is the essential condition in the communist philosophy? Revolutionary overthrow. Okay, remember this. Okay, now coming back to the utopian socialism. Online students, I think I have forgotten to give you number. The number for the online students is 733886355. It is 733886355. Any doubt, then and there, please ask me. Please make this session interactive. Thank you. So, right. Utopian socialism. Why this socialist was criticized as utopian by Karl Marx? See, all were socialist. All were socialist. All believed in common ownership of land at that point of time. Right? But Marx said these socialists like Saint-Simon, Solis Fourier, Louis Blanc, P.J. Proudhon, like Robert Owen, all these people are who to say many people are from France. Only one person I mentioned it is from England, because French tradition is basically a socialist tradition. Always remember this. English tradition is a liberal tradition. English tradition is a liberal tradition. When you take all great liberal thinkers, they will be Englishmen. All great liberal thinkers, they will be Englishmen. Okay. Maybe Scottish or something like that, but typically an Englishman. Okay. Inside the British Islands. Similarly, all great socialist thinkers, most of them would come from France, except for Karl Marx who came from Germany. Okay, very few German socialists. Otherwise, France is known for socialism. Right. So, why Karl Marx accused these people as utopian socialists? From morning I have not asked you questions, so let me throw this to the floor. Okay, tell me. I have answered this many times. At least when you listen to this, what I have answered, you can easily answer this. I have answered to this question many times. Why did Karl Marx call these socialists as utopian? Someone of you. I have answered this many times. Please don't embrace me. Even in the morning I told you. It is very, very easy answer. Why? You have the answer? Okay, we will take partly it is right, where Karl Marx said, but I want a better answer also. Okay. Any other answer? Partly it is right. We will discuss it. Any other person? I met a person from your side who said he has a communist tradition. Who is it? No. Right, I forgot. Right, tell me. Any other answer? Why Karl Marx accused these people as utopian socialist? See, simple. Why Marx thought, now you have to answer yourself, another question. Why Marx thought that his socialism is scientific? See, Marx accused that I am scientific and termed his socialism scientific socialism and called all other socialism that existed before his socialism as utopian socialism. So, why Marx thought his socialism was scientific?
Because in the 60s, he saw the
I understand that you understand this, but you have to put it a better phrase basically. Okay, phrase it differently. Phrase it differently. Try. Phrase it differently. See, yes, what you said is right. It is something to do with history. Okay, but phrase it differently. Someone else.
So we cannot call others people they justify the means of control. They wanted to implement social issues immediately.
Good, good. Again, partly it is right. Better answer. I want still better phrasing. What you said is partly right. More than partly right. Yes, someone else, someone else. Better phrasing it. See, simple, as both of them have said, Marx believed that there is a process of history. Okay, it is science. It is science. Okay, socialism cannot be brought any time they wish, as he said. Owen, what Robin Owen was trying, wanted to create a socialist society. What Charles Fourier was trying, wanted to create a socialist society. Marx said, you did not understand the very process of history, the science what is going. The world consists of stages, and every stage is born out of the ashes of the old stage through revolution. Revolution is the locomotive of history, and you cannot create revolution whenever you want. Revolution will also be created only at the end of every epoch when certain conditions are satisfied. This is science according to Marx. These people like Saint Simon, Charles Fourier, Louis Blanc, P.J. Proudhon, Robert Bowen did not understand the science. They wanted to create socialist society just like that, by different means. By evolution, one person said, P.J. Proudhon said, mutual aid, the concept of mutual aid. So everyone has their own method of creating socialism. Marx said, nothing will work. Nothing will work. Because all are unscientific. How can you create a mutual aid? How can you create evolutionary socialism? All are, even revolutionary socialism is against. How can you create a revolution whenever you want? All are unscientific in a Marxist theory. Even a revolution can be created only in a specific time period, and that time period it is being dictated by the flow of history, not by you. Okay, it has to satisfy certain conditions. The highest form of capitalism has to come. The highest form of capitalism. In Communist Manifesto, Marx says, when socialist revolution will come? The socialist revolution will come only in the highest form of capitalism, when the capitalists will invent many other ways of domination and oppression. And only in that time, the real polarization of classes happens. The three processes we already saw: obliteration of working class, amalgamation, okay, pauperization of all these processes will happen. Only then the polarization will happen. Only then the highest form of capitalism, socialism will come. Only in that moment revolution is possible. But all these people, without understanding any of these things, wanted to create some socialist society. So that is the reason Marx called these people as utopian socialists. You got it? Why they are utopian socialists? What is utopia? Utopia, I forgot the person's name who wrote it, in 15th century. In 15th century, it's a kind of a story, it's a kind of a belief of a society where everyone lived happily, there was no thieves. Okay, it's a kind of a belief in a society of egalitarian society, utopia. The title of the story was Utopia, where the people lived happily, there was no thieves there, all the egalitarian. Such a kind of society was dreamed by one thinker in the 15th century. Okay, from then on, utopia became synonymous with such dreams, impossible dreams. Okay, impossible dreams. These dreams are not possible. Such dreams became synonymous with utopia from then on. Okay, that is the meaning of utopia. Utopia, a creation of a society which is not at all possible. It is only possible only in any one dream. Okay, utopia. Right? That is the reason Marx called these people as utopian socialists. Now we will see what are the different thinking of different people. First one is Saint Simon, So, 1 minute. Okay. Saint Simon, he wanted to set up a state with centralized economy. Saint Simon, this is enough for you, okay, because they will not ask about Saint Simon, they will ask only about utopian socialist. So one word is enough. Charles Fourier, model community based on free cooperation, and this is also common with Robert Owen. So both people were close collaborators at that point of time, Charles Fourier and Robert Owen. Okay, so they wanted to create model community based on free cooperation. Okay, Louis Blanc, centralized economy under state control. P.J. Proudhon, who wanted to create some kind of mutual aid philosophy. How one people mutually help other people. Okay, and by the way of mutually helping each other, he wanted to create a nationwide system of decentralized workers. Okay, decentralized workers, workers cooperatives, which would bargain with one another for mutual existence of goods and services. Okay, so it is not based on market, this transfer. In a Proudhon's scheme of things, now how we exchange based on market, but Proudhon wanted to exchange goods and services based on mutual aid. Okay, we will bargain for mutual benefit, that's it. Okay, I will give you for this amount, because I have so much of 100 people in my collectivity. Okay, he have 1000 people in collectivity. So if you give me this amount of money, I will help the family of all the 100 people. So I will give you this amount of money so that you can help all the 1000 people under your collectivity. You understand? Because that is how P.J. Proudhon visualized. Marx said all these things are extremely utopian. Okay, the ideas are good, but how you will realize it? And what method? Okay, that is where these people are called as utopian socialists. So after utopian socialism, as we already discussed, Marxism would come. So again I am not going to discuss it. So then Fabian socialism. Many times we have discussed about Fabian socialism, like when we discussed about Nehru's form of socialism in Indian national movement also, we have discussed a little bit of Fabian socialism. The slogan of Fabian socialism is inevitability of socialism. Inevitability of socialism. Right? It is a kind of a middle class intellectual movement. It's a kind of a middle class intellectual movement. Which one? Fabian socialism. The Fabian Society was started in 1884, influenced by Thomas Davidson, a Scottish philosopher, in the name of Fellowship of New Life. So when the Fabian Society was started, the name of the Fabian Society was the Fellowship of New Life. That was the name of the Fabian Society. Okay. At that point of time in 1884, the Fabian Society is not a socialist society, it is only a literary society. Okay. It wanted to write lot of things for their followers. Okay. But in 1887, under the leadership of Frank Podmore and Edward Orpheus, this Fabian Society converts itself into a socialist society. Got it? Socialist society, and it was renamed as Fabian Society in the honor of Quintus Fabius, a Roman general. What is this Quintus Fabius is known for? This, he was known for his delaying techniques basically. Okay, he will delay going into a war. We wait for the moment to go into a war, and for that he was very famous, and he has won many wars, the Roman general. So this was kind of a synonymous, it became extremely synonymous with socialism. So their logo was tortoise. So they said, let's go slowly, let's wait for the moment. Socialism is inevitable. They also believed in class struggle a little bit. Many people believed in class struggle. But where they differed from Marxism is, they did not believe in revolution. Okay. They said, socialism is inevitable. Let's create awareness to all the people about socialism, because everyone would like socialism, everyone would embrace socialism. But we need not want to go for a revolutionary overthrow of society. No, that is not required. Revolutionary overthrow of state is not required. Socialism becomes inevitable, slowly it will come. Understood? So it's a kind of a evolutionary socialism. It's a kind of a middle class movement. Okay, that is the reason this Fabian, Quintus Fabius, this was actually suggested by Frank Podmore. He only suggests this name, okay, based on this Fabius, to create a Fabian society, rename this Fellowship of New Life into a Fabian society. Okay, many people, our own Annie Besant was a contributor, Nehru was a person who believed in Fabian socialism, okay, and many people, George Bernard Shaw, hope you remember him. George Bernard Shaw edited the first Fabian essays. The Fabian essays were published from 1889 under the editorship of George Bernard Shaw, which spoke about his doctrine of evolutionary socialism. So there were many people, prominent thinkers like Sidney Webb, Beatrice Webb, Sidney Olivier, Graham Wallace, C.D.H. Cole, and this person later starts guild socialism. Okay, guild socialism, that we will also see now. Okay, guild socialism, the very person, C.D.H. Cole. Right. So Fabian socialism was extremely influential amongst the people who read a middle class movement. But this Sidney Webb and Beatrice Webb, these people who are Fabian socialists, after the, as I already told you, after the Russian Revolution comes, because of Russian Revolution, Marxism became very famous. Marxism started to control most of the socialist mind, and Fabian socialism is also not an exception. Okay, the very Sidney Webb, the very Beatrice Webb, who are Fabian socialists, later embraces Marxism. They eulogize Marxism and write Marxist doctrine. So Sidney Webb, Beatrice Webb got married in 1892, and at the end they also implemented Soviet communism. They wrote a book, Soviet Communism, New Civilization. Right. This is what Fabian socialism is all about. Next, another important movement is syndicalism. See, this is again one of the most important variant of Marxism and anarchism, as they call it. Anarchism also coexisted during the Marxist times. For example, P.J. Proudhon, what we discussed now, whom we discussed now, was also an anarchist. What is anarchism? As I told you now, anarchism is a kind of a philosophy or an ideology which believed in no state control, basically. It believed in the total freedom of individual, and it believed in the zero state or very minimal state. Okay. That is what anarchism. Okay. So Rudolf Rocker, I think, he said, I am anarchist not because anarchism is my final goal, but because there is nothing called as a final goal. Okay. Anarchism do not set any goals as such. Anarchism, it's a kind of a belief that human beings should be left free to do whatever they want. Okay. And inside anarchism there is socialist anarchism, inside anarchism there is liberal anarchism, libertarian anarchism. And during the later end of early part of 20th century, a specific movement which is a combination of Marxism and anarchism born. This movement was born in trade unions or labor unions. Okay, it is also called as trade unionism. Trade unionism. Okay, but nowadays we have a lot of trade unions which is run based on this syndicalist principle. Okay, and even now there is a website called Syndicalism. If you want, you can go and check Google website on syndicalism. The first thing they claim is syndicalism is an alternative economic philosophy to that of Marxism and that of capitalism. Okay, socialism or capitalism. Okay, they believe they are a separate economic philosophy. Okay, so what is this economic philosophy? Okay, right. Syndicate in French means trade union. Okay, that is the name of syndicalism. So syndicalism is a working class movement that was started in France by Marxists like Fernand Pelotier, Jules Gusde and anarchists like Emil Paugat in 1901 AD. Syndicalism is a movement. It's a trade union movement. The movement which is started by labor unions, working class unions, okay, in 1901 AD. The philosophical support of the syndicalist movement was given by, as I already told you, George Sorel in his book Reflections on Violence, when he popularized syndicalism, especially Marxism. Okay. George Sorel actually single-handedly popularizes Karl Marx in French society. Okay. Before George Sorel, Karl Marx was not famous in French society. Right. So, what is the syndicalism? How it is different? Labor unions are the instruments of revolutionary overthrow of capitalism. So, what they will do? They will do simple. First point, workers' solidarity. They will consider injury to one is injury to all. Then they will use general strike as the major tool of revolution. In fact, syndicalists has steps of revolution. The first step is general strike. Okay, they will announce general strike in all labor unions at one single time. Okay, so that the total capitalist function has been halted. Next step, they will ask for sabotage of the machines. They will break the machines. Okay, they will break the machines. So, what the capitalist would do? Ideally, the workers are not coming. Okay, if the capitalists take the extreme step of, okay, from now on I am going to dismiss all of you, all the 1,000 people or 2,000 people who are working in my factory, and the next step what they will do? They will break all the machines. So, the syndicalists believe the capitalist will be left out of no other option but leaving the factory to the workers and going. Okay, so the syndicalists said, let's capture one factory at a time. One factory at a time. Okay, so once we started to capture one factory at a time, see, this is different from Marxism, where Marxism did not believe or wanted to break machines, or sabotage was not given, and they don't want to capture one factory at a time. They wanted to capture cities at a time. Lenin's philosophy. But here they wanted to capture one factory at a time by using general strike and sabotage. Then after creating that, the state should be overthrown and the labor unions and a system of producer society should take control of the state. So all these factories, there should be a federation. Federation of all these producers. Producers are nothing but factories here. Okay. This federation should replace state. Okay. Today we have a federation of what? Geographical units. Correct? India is a federation of geographical units of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. But these people are speaking of a federation of factories, units of factories, where representatives of all these factories and all these producer councils, all these people sit in a place and discuss, not in a parliament, but they have their own producers council, where they will manage everything, said the syndicalist. You understood? So they say, I am a different economic philosophy. There is a completely different economic philosophy. They claim that they are completely different economic philosophy. Okay. So all factories should be captured individually, then a federation of these factories and federation of these producer councils should be created, and those federations should rule the total country. The idea is very simple. Whoever you are, you should work somewhere, then you should be some producer council, then automatically it should be linked in a federation. Correct? Whoever you are. Again they believe in the same Marxist dictum that you cannot live without working. Correct? So that is the reason they came with this philosophy of linking a federation. Okay. So major principles: workers' solidarity, injury to one is injury to all, General strike sabotage, self-management. Federation of trade unions capable of managing themselves and the society in general, and the abolition of state. These are the three major principles of syndicalism. Syndicalism started in France, then it started to move to all Latin American countries. In Latin American countries and other countries, it took different forms, like anarcho syndicalism, Rudolf Rocker and others were very famous in Latin American countries. So every country have their own syndicalist trade union movement. Trade unionism is also very famous. It's also very famous. Probably in India we might not know a lot about trade unionism. The reason being, we have Congress which controls from the independence times most of the trade unions, and communist parties controlling other trade unions. Now all political parties have their own trade unions, whether it's the DMK or ADMK or MDMK. At least for namesake they have some trade unions. And if you go and discuss with most of the laborers, either there will be a DMK man or there will be a ADMK man. Okay. So this trade unionism as a philosophy is extremely, relatively absent in India. But otherwise, trade unionism is very famous in most of the Western countries. Okay, this is what syndicalism is all about. Any doubt in this? Syndicalism and guild socialism are almost the same. Almost the same. The only difference between the syndicalism and guild socialism is, in case of guild socialism, you do not have the concept of revolution. Okay, in case of guild socialism, it is not a revolutionary overthrow of the state. It's an evolution. Okay, we will see. Propounded by C.D.H. Cole. It's short-lived in 1916 to 1926. It was a variance of Fabian socialism and syndicalism. Okay. Labor unions are necessary to bring industrial democracy. So, the concept of industrial democracy replaces revolution in case of guild socialism. They already discussed what is guilds. Correct. So these individual guilds in India are called as trainees. This is nothing but producer councils which I took when I discussed Marxism. Correct. So these guilds will be linked to the federation. That's the only difference. In case of syndicalism, it is the factories and other producer councils which is basically linked to the federation. Here these guilds which is linked to the federation. For example, you have 10 textile factories in Chennai city. 10 textile factories. For 10 textile factories there will be one guild. Okay. There are 10 mining factories. So 2 mining factories in Chennai. Giving you an example, it cannot be a mining factory, but giving an example. Then there will be one guild. So similarly, for all jobs, there will be some 100 guilds. Correct? Okay, 100 guilds. So all these 100 guilds will be linked in a federation. At the top, there will be one federation which controls all these guilds. A little bit different from what syndicalism believed. And C.D.H. Cole extensively wrote about this guild socialism from 1916 to 1926, and many people thought this is a good way. A.J. Penty wrote about it, and guild socialism revisited, another book is written, and many books started to come about guild socialism, but eventually people became disinterested with guild socialism because of the rise of Russian Revolution and Lenin and Stalin. Slowly and steadily, after Russia showed, USSR showed their power, these other forms of socialism started to minimize. Okay, everyone started to believe in Marxism, Leninism as their next big thing than liberalism. Okay, So all this syndicalism, guild socialism all started to vanish. Right, okay guys, any doubt? This is the very first time I have finished the slides even before the time. Right, I am extremely happy. Right, any doubts in this? Socialism, again there are many forms of socialism. For example, I have not taken Edward Bernstein's revisionism. I have not taken social democracy of Ferdinand Lassalle. All these things I have not taken, but anyway you can read it. It's very easy. You Google it, you read it. There is no big difference. For example, Edward Bernstein's revisionism, it revisions Marxism to a little bit. Okay, about the class struggle and the revolution. Everyone have their own. Bernstein have their own point of departure from Karl Marx. But everything had the center of attraction was class struggle and Marxism. That is how they will differ. Okay, even Ferdinand Lassalle met Karl Marx during when he was there, and there was there's a story where Karl Marx's wife Jenny Marx was very much angry over Ferdinand Lassalle because he became very famous than Karl Marx in Germany. Okay, and most of his theories was Marxist theories. Okay, he is a follower of Karl Marx, and he wrote about it and he spoke about it. He participated in politics in Germany, and he became more famous than Karl Marx. So Jenny Marx was very angry with Ferdinand Lassalle. This is a story. Okay, we never know which story is right. So this is about German democracy. Right. So many forms of socialism do exist. Any doubt in this, please ask me. Or in Marxism also, please ask me. There is no use in starting any new topic now because there is only 10 minutes left. So I would ideally like to answer questions rather than taking any new topic. Okay, so ask me questions based on guild socialism or syndicalism or Marxism or any other form of socialism. Online students, you will also ping me. Any doubt, guys? So all of you are in the mood of going out now. Please don't be in that mood. Ask me questions. Ask me questions. Since we have time at least. Just now I said in a call to my friend that I think my problem is over. I got well. Just now I said continuously I cannot speak. It's okay. What is this? Okay, since we have time, we will discuss a little bit about the other aspects of Marxism. Okay, reason because we have 10 minutes left. So I thought I will finish it, but anyway, no problem. So till Karl Marx we already saw. Then how Lenin changed it a little bit. Okay, okay, we will go to this. Karl Marx believed in the creation of communes. Okay, but Marx has not given any specific method of how this commune has to be created, how these things dictatorship of proletariat has to be done. Nothing was told by Karl Marx. Okay, everything was openly left. Lenin wanted to fill this gap. Okay, that is what we called as Marxism-Leninism. Okay, so what Lenin does as a difference is, first thing, for Marx, ideology itself is a false consciousness. Correct. But Lenin accepted Marxism as his ideology. Ideology. Right. That is the first change. The second change, for Marx, revolution is inevitable. Revolution is inevitable. It will definitely come, and till that moment, what is the role of the working class? The role of the working class is to show solidarity with all the rights-based movement and the working class movement that is taking place all over the world. Right. That is what the dictum of Karl Marx. But Lenin again tinges it little bit. He says, let's organize this communist party into cell-based small structures based on Blanqui. Okay, Blanqui's concept, a Bakunin's concept. Small cell-based, how today's Maoist function. Similarly, he wanted exterior people to function in the factories. Okay, so small cell-based Marxist cadres would be trained on Marxism, would be sent to every factory or every city. There they will be training the people on Marxism and the revolutionary overthrow, the techniques of revolution. Do you remember in when I spoke about Indian national movement, we also saw about how Stalin started this school of college, the revolutionary college, where they taught the people about revolutionary overthrow. That was not a Marxist ideology, that was Lenin ideology. Marx never wanted to preach revolution. Marx never wanted to create any such cell structures which teaches the techniques of revolution. Marx never wanted it, but Lenin wanted it. Lenin said, a time will come, but let's wait for the time. Let the contradiction, the highest form of contradiction, let it happen. But still, we have to train our cadets to create a revolution. Okay, that training part was added by Lenin. Right. And the third point is his belief is imperialism is the highest form of capitalism, final stage of capitalism. Because as we say, every idea is a product of history. Marx lived in a capitalist society, industrial capitalist society, and Lenin lived in an imperial society. Okay, he came some 50 years after Marx, where imperialism is highest. Colonies everywhere, oppression, total oppression in all colonies. Like India also taken by 1858, it comes under British control, and slowly and steadily at the start of 1910s, 20th century, and this was the talk everywhere, where how the British, the Spain, all the imperial countries controlling their subjects. The rights were given to their citizens, but the rights were denied to their colonies. Okay. So, imperialism is the final stage of capitalism, which Lenin believed. Okay. And based on this formulation, he started to develop many philosophies like socialism is one country, which is started by Lenin, but developed to a greater extent by Joseph Stalin. Okay, socialism in one country, where the concept of socialism in one country opposes the concept of permanent revolution, which was asked last year in your question 1 month back. Okay, permanent revolution, and this concept of permanent revolution was given by Trotsky, who was a fierce opponent of V.A. Lenin as well as Joseph Stalin. Okay, he was a close associate of V.A. Lenin for some time. Then after the death of V.A. Lenin, he became a fierce opponent of Joseph Stalin. So this permanent revolution was, it is believed, again came from the roots of Lenin, but essentially it is associated with Trotsky. Right? So socialism in one country and permanent revolution is opposite each other. What is this socialism in one country? Socialism in one country believed that development of socialism at one country at a time. Okay. Marxism, the orthodox Marxism believes in creation of a world community where the highest stage of capitalism reaches to the world at one time. Okay, that is the orthodox Marxism. Where Marx believed that a socialism might not come in every society at a time, maybe or may not be, but the highest possibility of socialism to come Only when the capitalism reaches its highest stage in all societies or the total world at one time. Okay, this is the orthodox Marxist belief. But this was changed by Lenin and Stalin. They said, because we organize ourselves to cell-based structures and we teach revolution to all the people, socialism can be brought in one country at a time. Okay, this is what the philosophy of socialism in one country, which was fiercely against was permanent revolution, and it was given by Trotsky. Trotsky believed that revolution should be permanently on, where the group of both the proletariats as well as in the maybe like how Maoists believe, there could be an organization of the landless peasants and agricultural laborers and a common organization of these landless agricultural laborers with that of this proletariat could be forged, and a concept of permanent revolution could be created, so that the revolution is always on. Okay, so he categorically was against this socialism in one country. He said socialism in one country is not possible. Okay, so two opposite stands. One stand said socialism in one country is possible. Again, it was mooted by Lenin, took forward by Joseph Stalin, and another stand said socialism in one country is not possible. Then we have to bring the revolution at a time separately. But what is the role of the Communist Party is, now the Communist Party has brought a revolution in USSR in 1917, and then on you have to keep the revolutionary upsurge on completely from 1917, so that the concept of permanent revolution spreads to all over the world, there, so that you can forge an alliance between all the proletariats and the lumpen proletariats and the petty bourgeoisie and the agricultural laborers and the landless peasants. All kind of organization could be brought in, some alliance could be brought in all over the world, so that a revolution, the next stage revolution, can be brought about in the total world at a time. Did you understand? So that is, after 19 revolution, what is the role of the Communist Party? Okay, that is the question. To answer this question, two different answers. One answer is permanent revolution, another answer is socialist in one country. The permanent revolution said, just because we have brought revolution in USSR, we have to keep the revolutionary surge on, so that it spreads to all over the world at one time, so that revolution, next revolution comes all over the world at one time. That is permanent revolution, brought by Trotsky. Okay, socialism in one country believed that since we have brought that socialism in one country, actually it is also possible another country at different time. Okay, so let's create socialism in one country at a time, and this was mooted by Lenin and was supported by Joseph Stalin. You understood? So two opposite viewpoints on the role of Communist Party of United States of Soviet Russia. What is the role ahead? In fact, this concept of cell-based structure was given by Rosa Luxemburg. Okay, she is a lady. She was the famous Marxist thinker, and based on the formulation of Rosa Luxemburg, Lenin would have changed this concept of Marxism, what is now called to be as a Marxism-Leninism. Okay, these are the most important things with respect to Marxism. Any doubt, ask me. Since permanent revolution has come, I suppose you understood what is a permanent revolution. Again, I will tell you. After 1917, the question of the role of Communist Party comes. So what is the role of Communist Party in USSR? So one group believed, since socialism in USSR is an isolated affair. Okay, if what Marx said is true, then in USSR the revolution should not have come, because USSR is also not a society of highest capitalism. USSR was a kind of a semi-capitalist society, in fact feudal society. But how come socialism was brought there? Because of the cell-based philosophy, the ideology of Marxism-Leninism. So Lenin believed this ideology, if it is moved forward, socialism in one country is possible. Okay, and this idea was taken by Joseph Stalin also. So what they did, they created colleges everywhere, they trained people in revolution, they trained all the people, nationalist people who were fighting for national freedom in all the countries like India, all the countries about revolution, and they wanted to bring a socialist revolution in every country at a time. Okay, at every single time. This is one philosophy. Other philosophies were mooted by Trotsky. He said, what is the role of the Communist Party? He said, yes, we have brought this revolution now, 1917 revolution. Now, let's keep this revolutionary upsurge on all over the world. Teach everyone about this concept of permanent revolution. This concept of permanent revolution is a kind of an alliance between not just proletariats. It's an alliance between the proletariats. It's an alliance between the lumpen proletariats. It's an alliance between all other social groups like agricultural laborers, like maybe a student union or a peasants. It's a kind of an alliance between all other groups. Let's teach the concept of revolution to all groups, not only proletariats, to all groups. You understood? So that we always keep this revolutionary upsurge on, so that one day a true revolution comes all over the world at one single time. Okay, so it's a concept of forging alliance between all groups. This was taken forward by other neo-Marxists like Louis Althusser and who's that person? Jurgen Habermas, who believed in students bringing about a revolution. He wanted to forge an alliance between students also. So he believed in students. That is Jurgen Habermas, is another neo-Marxist, and Ralph Miliband, and everyone had their own way of. Nicholas Paulensas, another neo-Marxist who believed in creating a socialist revolution with such a kind of a alliance. So everyone had their own method of forging alliance. Right, this concept of permanent revolution is very famous. Right, okay, any doubt in this case? All these things you please read. Louis Althusser, I don't believe question will come. Even I did not believe Trotsky question will come, but it came. Okay, but this sometimes it happens that way. Louis Althusser or Jurgen Habermas. Anyway, when we come to participatory democracy, I will discuss about Louis Althusser and Jurgen Habermas. Okay, in participatory democracy, that is there in our syllabus. So don't worry about it. But otherwise, I don't think so. Question will come. So don't worry. This is enough. Any doubt, please ask me. All of you in the mood of going now. I know it's late. See, ideally, I love to have class between 2 or 3 to somewhere. But since I thought today I have some work, I thought let me have a 4 to 7. Next week I will try. Okay, I will try to create it. I try to have class by 2 to 6. Ideal time is 2 to 6, right? 2 to 5 or 2 to 6. That is better. Which time is better for you guys? Morning. Morning, that is almost impossible. Morning, that is almost impossible. Forget it. Sorry. So you will enjoy the weekend. First of all, there is no weekend for IAS aspirant. So if that is the reason, then I will always keep in the evenings. Always keep in the evenings. So your time is 4 to 8. You cannot have weekends, guys. Sorry. Forget it. You cannot have weekends. Next 1 year, book, read. That's the only philosophy. There is no other option. Right? I will try. Morning is not possible for me at least, because Monday to Friday I have to go to college. In the morning 5 o'clock I have to get up. So at least in Saturdays and Sundays I sleep. Only in Saturday, Sunday I sleep. Okay. So morning is not at all possible. 2 o'clock it's okay. Right. Okay guys. Thank you. We will see tomorrow.